Welcome to our second tutorial in the Introduction to Programming using Python series. Before we start, I'd like to mention that in making these tutorials, I use several existing Python resources. They're great and worth checking out. Links to these is available in the description section of the video. In this tutorial, we're going to install Python, learn how to use idle, which is Python's editor and interactive shell. Then we're going to write our first program, and then we'll talk about patience in programming. To install Python, go to python.org in the browser. Scroll down to the download section and click on the latest Python 3.x version, in this case 3.4.3. A download page will open up. Scroll to the bottom of that and choose the file appropriate for your operating system. If you happen to be on Windows, you can click Windows x86 MSI installer. This should work on all versions of Windows. And once you download that, you can click on it and follow the default installation procedure. Again, you can select all the default options. Now, if you need more help, or if you want more details on what the different installation options mean, Google installing Python and follow one of the many tutorials there. Once you've installed Python, we can get started. First of all, when you're coding in a large project, you'll use what's called an Integrated Development Environment, or IDE for short. IDEs help by bringing together our code, the libraries and dependencies we use, and managing them for us. They provide many useful features, but they're also complicated. And since we're only beginning to program, we don't need them and we're not going to use them. Instead, we will use Python's idle, which is Python's editor and interactive shell. It's the one that ships with the default Python installation. Now to open that, if you're on Mac, go to your Applications folder, and under that, click on Python 3.4 and click on idle. If you're on Windows 7, go to your Start menu, All Programs, Python, and click on idle. And if you happen to be on Windows 8, click on the Start Screen button, type idle, and idle will come up on the right. You can click on it to open it, or right-click and pin it to the start because we're going to use it, and open idle. Now, this is Python's interactive shell. Interactive means we type the command and see the results right away in the same shell. So let's start with the Hello World program, which is the first thing you will always do in any new programming language. And in Python, the way to do that is to type print, bracket, single quote, hello world, quote, close the bracket, and hit enter. And there you have it, our first Python statement, hello world. Note that this print statement we just used is what's called a function. A function is a piece of Python code that we can use and it will do something for us. So in this case, we said print hello world, and it did print hello world to the screen, as we can see. Now, in time, we're going to learn how to write our own functions, but for now, we're just going to use the built-in ones that come with Python, like print. To use a function, we type the name of the function, like print. We type open bracket and close bracket. Within the brackets, we can pass one or more arguments to the function, or some functions actually take no arguments, so it'll just be open bracket and close bracket. Now, what we pass to the function, what pieces of information we pass to the function we're calling, in programming, these are called arguments. These are not the kind of arguments you have with your friends. These are the pieces of information you pass to the function you're calling. In this particular case, we passed one argument. So hello world is actually two words, but it's one argument, one piece of text. Because in Python, pieces of text, and they're actually called strings. So in Python, strings are surrounded by single quotes or double quotes. Within the single quote or double quote, any number of words still make one string, not multiple strings. So in this case, I said print, and I passed to it one string, which is hello world, and it printed that. And I could have said anything, and it would have printed it. So I could have said my name is Khan. Again, one string, and it printed it. Okay, and if you wanted to pass more than one piece of information, more than one argument, they would have to be separated with commas. And this is how we use the built-in functions. The Python shell is great for testing. You can input a statement into it and see the results directly. But what if there was something we wanted to use over and over? It doesn't make sense to keep writing the same thing every time we open Python. So let's see how we can save it in a Python file so we can avoid that. From the idle interactive shell, go to File, and click on New File, or use Control and keyboard shortcut. This will open an untitled file. In it, we can type our Python code. So let's do, again, the hello world. And now we have to save that. So you go File, Save, or use Control S keyboard shortcut. And here you can choose the location and the name of the file. I'm going to create a new folder, call it learning Python, and in it I'm going to keep all the Python files for this tutorial series. Let's call this one hello world. Click enter or click save, and here you can see that in the title it reflects the location of the file and the name of the file. And now to run it, you go run module or F5, and it will run it in the interactive shell and show you the results. And here we have just created our first Python program. Before we move further, let me tell you that programming can sometimes be frustrating. Of course, even as a user of technology, I'm sure that you've had experiences where you wanted to smash your smartphone against the wall, called it names, or maybe wanted to throw your laptop out the window in frustration. Because sometimes things just don't work. And it'll be the same thing when you're writing code. Except, as a user of technology, when you get frustrated, there's nothing you can do about it. It's not your app, it's not your code, and you can't fix it. But when you're writing your own code, things are different. You can dig into the problem and fix it. And when you do, two positive outcomes will happen. First, you will have a sense of achievement when you finally figure out what went wrong. Second, often you will learn what the issue was so you don't make the same mistake again. Point is, patience is very important to you as you learn to program. And what I'm trying to say is please don't give up at the first snag you hit because you'll be missing out on a lot. If things don't work as you see in the tutorial or as you would expect, try again, figure out what the problem is, and it'll be worth it at the end. And like I mentioned before, I'm always available to help. Next time we're going to learn about the Python operators, variables, and strings. A string, by the way, in programming means a piece of text, like the hello world we just used with the print statement. It's called a string because it's made up of a sequence or string of characters. Calling it text probably makes more sense, but it is called a string in many programming languages, including Python. So until next time.